Welcome to this conversation about visual effects and CGI in the marketing surrounding those topics, or rather, the idea of the lack of those topics. Um, I guess starting with the myth of no CGI, we can think about something like Barbie, the Barbie movie 2023, or uh, Oppenheimer, or especially surrounding movies like Top Gun Maverick or Mission Impossible. These movies were all marketed in a way that highlighted not major use of visual effects. That they often highlighted their practical effects, saying that all of these things were real, highlighting large sets and large stunts. For specific examples, the Mission Impossible film. I forget the specific film, but the one where Tom Cruise hangs off the side of the plane as the plane takes off. He did do that stunt. Or in the Barbie movie, there were large real sets that the actors were walking around in, and the camera was physically in, which is very, very cool. Um, the issue, there's a problem there, is that directors are using these claims or have used these claims to promote authenticity or realism, but has been creating, it can create and did create a false echo of how movies are actually made. Um, for example, based on the example of Barbie, those sets were surrounded by blue screens because yes, you had large sets for the actual dollhouses where the actors were walking around, but it's still very hard to make that surrounding environment that looks like Barbie Land from the movie. So they put blue screens up, which is common and well often used use of visual effects and CGI in modern movies, especially in modern movies. In a specific quote, CGI, VFX, and deepfakes create doubt about whether something they're being shown actually happened or whether it was manipulated to appear like it did. And so, technical preference of whether it actually happened or whether it appeared like it did, often they did things like Tom Cruise actually doing the stunt, but it appears like they didn't if you mention CGI. Uh, and so this is a moral issue because it affects how the job ends up getting done and who gets recognized for that. Taking a look at who the stakeholders are based on the lecture, who wins and who loses. We have two main camps here. We have the directors and the studios, who are the winners, uh, and they gain prestige and good looks for pursuing that real feeling. And the losers, in this case, are the visual effects artists, who where their technical skills are undervalued and their contributions are ignored or erased. Um, for example, on Oppenheimer, 80% of the visual effects crew of the crews who helped with digital effects were not credited. We can use moral imagination to envision the professional harm that was done to artists and their careers and portfolios, who can use a blockbuster hit, like, for example, Oppenheimer, to advance their careers, advance their portfolios, because their labor is invisible, it's uncredited. We can get into the competing values based on the week four lecture content in the values list, for example. We can see a clash between being honest and being truthful versus fealty and loyalty in the marketing of a film. Um, I've seen in interviews that directors have used uh, visual effects, digital effects, sort of implying that it's a form of cheating rather than uh, a different creative tool and excuse me, and a different creative process rather than doing a practical stunt or a practical effect. Um, which erodes the dignity and the professionalism of being a visual effects artist To quote another source, people have no idea how broad the term VFX shot is. There is no movie made today without visual VFX, and I cannot help but agree with that. There's also a lot of hate surrounding CGI. Think back to when, say, The Flash came out, and there was a lot of people saying that we hate CGI and we hate this and we hate that. People don't hate CGI. I believe. I believe they hate bad CGI, and bad CGI is most often caused by a lack of time, and by crunch time, which is sort of the power dynamic of working in the visual effects industry. Most visual effects artists operate under assigned relationships, and work made for hire contracts, so they lack the power to control how their work is marketed, and then they often get hit with crunch time. A lot of basically a time of only a few weeks where you don't have time to get everything done, where you have to rush and take shortcuts, and things don't turn out as planned or as originally envisioned. So, what can even be done about this? Because it's a huge issue in this industry. With pretty much every large Hollywood blockbuster, there is this issue. So, basing off of the lecture materials, we can ask about a mixed model solution. So, how can filmmakers prioritize their marketing goals while still honoring the truth and the work that artists put into the film? This would not be easy to change, as it would be changing an entire industry. However, a possible move towards an aspirational standards where studios provide responsible context for stunts. Instead of saying something like no CGI or no effects, they should say practical first, or find a way to acknowledge both the work of the practical effects on set and the visual effects and post production, and acknowledging the work put in to put those effects into the film seamlessly, which is a lot of work. It also, we can reflect upon the idea of, does the audience have a responsibility in this? Does the audience have a responsibility to look past minimal CGI hype and demand better treatment for the artists who are creating these magical worlds that we love so much? So I'll leave us with this. By celebrating the absence of CGI, these statements imply digital effects are a form of cheating. This erases the complexity and innovation involved in the work behind visual effects.